the thing I'm always curious about is how do you find a ton of value and have the same thing, right? I'm in masterminds. I have my own personal advisory board. There's my group. In some cases, formal boards. So the challenge is deciphering some of that feedback that you get and applying that to your specific business where you have unique individuals that are very different that that's been always the challenge, is how do you keep yourself honest when you come back and apply that input.
Yeah.
You ever struggle with that?
Yeah, I think what's funny is you have to have people who aren't an echo chamber.
Yeah.
There has to be enough warmth and care in it. It can't be abrasive, but you have to have people who will push you and tell you, okay, you have to change that role on your team, or you have to do this thing. And okay, when are you going to do it? Because I'm going to call you next week to make sure you didn't get cold feet or
That's great.
put up with that thing or change that, stop selling that service or working with that client where you're actually paying them to work with them essentially if it's not profitable, but you won't let go of it because the cash flow maybe is blinding you. Things like that, those hard decisions, to have people be willing to push you and be in a similar stage. I've been in groups too where someone is 100 times larger than me. They have different problems and different challenges and hard to relate to. Or at the same time, someone who is early stage, maybe that should be a mentor protege relationship rather than a peer one in terms of accountability, and to get joy out of it in a different way with different intents and purposes. But it's finding the people that you're not just going through the motions with or just showing up, but that there's true value in the relationship and the decisions behind it, and making sure that they will challenge you and will follow up.
Yeah, the accountability factor is huge. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's shift our mindset from your leaders list to our listeners' leaders list. So we can take that from two different angles. One, as an individual, I think you've given a lot of good feedback on how to be thinking about succession and how to give yourself the freedom of being able to figure out what you want next in your career. The other side of it is a company who, if I'm leading a company and I'm thinking about marketing, what should be on my leaders list today that is different, that has, is changing by the second. So I'll let you, dealer's choice. You can take us down, any advice on leaders list from either one of those angles.
Yeah, I think there is so much noise caused by AI. And so I, for a few months, really struggled with even opening LinkedIn and seeing my feed of my colleagues in the industry who are who are experimenting and taking a thought leadership position, trying to coin the new acronym or phrase of how we're optimizing for AI, which I think in many cases is the wrong question to ask. I just actually wrote an article on this about being a distraction. There's so many distractions. There's so much noise. There are more false claims and promises or magic things out there. Do this one tactic and it's going to solve everything for you than ever before, because AI has perpetuated it and we're still figuring a lot of it out on the fly. But and so that's zoomed into search marketing specifically in SEO. But really, that similar noise and confusion is through the C-suite and through the CMO and the marketing department and teams, and it's really creating new struggles. And so, understanding and having a solid handful of sources that you trust for truth versus speculation and fiction is critical. And whether that's people who are thought leaders that you trust in your space, or coaches or consultants, or even in your team, to understand, is this connected to ROI and where the future is going, and is it a healthy balance of what works today versus testing what works tomorrow, is important. There are a lot of promises and solutions out there, and even the platforms themselves where you can throw a lot of money into it and realize that you got taken for a ride, or you followed that LinkedIn post or what somebody said at a conference. So there are some definite people in the space that I trust, that I look to as peers, or even as people who are a step ahead of me, to be honest. And that's in my space. But in terms of, not my space, the platform, but
Nobody thought that.
But in terms of who you trust and who you're letting in to influence your team from all the angles, from because there are things coming from IT, there are big concerns and restrictions probably coming from compliance and legal. If you're in any level of corporate or regulated industry, there are increased as high as ever before pressures from the financial side and CFOs who are looking to make sure that everything that they're spending dollars on has is a sure thing, and lack of understanding because the changing subject matter every day within departments and within teams. And so having a handful of trusted, whether it's a resource that you trust in your industry that you know is staying up to date but not speculating, or those people in your team or outside of it that can speak truth and help distill the right balance of what works today and where we're going tomorrow to get away from the hype and all the noise.